Hello viewers, welcome back. We are now looking at the model structures. So we are still on the cover page here. This is our cover page, and this is our sheet 1, the cover page. But as you can see down below, if we just highlight with the mouse here in tab 1, this is our tab 1. You are seeing that it says cover. This point here, it says cover, that meaning that's our cover page. And now the second tab, if you look at the second tab here, it says model. So this is our second tab here, the model that we are in. This is the second tab. You can actually add as many as you can, because if you click on this plus, if you put your mouse on that plus symbol there, it says new sheet, meaning you can add another sheet and you rename it according to what you want to do with that additional sheet. But for now, let's just be with those two tabs that we have. And we said a tab is the same as sheet. We spoke about these things in our introductory part, so you can check out our previous videos. You'll be able to understand some of those different definitions that are there. So we can see we have those two tabs, but now since we don't want to be using the mouse, we just want to be able to navigate over to this model tab here, going back to the cover page to the model tab without using the mouse or without reaching for the mouse, so that we can just be navigating like this without clicking on these points with the mouse. So how can we be able to do that using the keyboard? That's what we want to do. Now, the way that we are going to navigate from one tab to another with the keyboard is we are going to hold down our control key. We hold down the control key. You hold down control key. Plus, now we are going to use the either page up or page down buttons. Page up or page down. Any of those two. If you hold down the control key, you hit the page up, it takes you to the first page. That is the cover page. Then if you hold down the control key and then you hit the page down, it takes you to the model tab or the model sheet. So that's how we can be able to navigate back and forth between those two different sheets. So those two buttons can actually help you to navigate back and forth just like that. Now, this is a great shortcut and we are going to use it all the time. But you have to be really careful that you don't accidentally hit the shift key in the process. Because if you happen to hit the shift key in the process, then you are going to have a different issue. So what will happen if I hit if it happens and you hit this shift key accidentally, this is what is going to happen. Let's first remove this. Let's first delete some of this so that we can clear our space. Now, if you hit that shift key accidentally along with those control and the page up and page down buttons, this is what is going to happen. So I need to maybe to clarify or to give you a demonstration. If it happens and you come here, you hit the control key plus, then accidentally you hit the shift key, then plus either page up or page down. This is what is going to happen. Now it depends on which sheet that you are on. For now we are on model tab. So if you just watch that small demonstration where you hold down your control key and you are going to hold the shift key together, maybe you accidentally hit it together and you use either page up or page down. So when I use the page down, it doesn't work. Reason is because if I want to move from the cover page to the model, I use control page down. But I'm supposed here now to use the page up. If I use the page up, it means I've highlighted those two sections. You are seeing that from this point here, this section here, we are seeing this cell and this tab and this tab, they are actually combined. They are combined all together. Now, what we have done now is actually we have highlighted both those two tabs, the cover page and the model tab or the model sheet, and that's called grouping. And in fact, if you can see right up here, if you go up here, we have Casey Accountancy Education Center, this safe valuation compact template for lectures. Here in the bracket we have group, meaning it has been grouped. That's why you're seeing even the file name has changed and it has put group. So that's why you are seeing this side, it says group. From this point here, up here, it says group. And the reason why it is saying group is because we've highlighted those two tabs. And that process is what we call grouping. So what we have done, we have grouped those two sheets together. The reason this can be dangerous is because if now maybe we do anything to one of these tabs, it's also going to happen to all the sheets or the tabs. In other words, one small change to one tab, it will affect the other. So if you type in something, it's going to appear on both two tabs. So you can cause a lot of damage in your financial model if you accidentally group your tabs together. So what we are going to do is we are going to hold down the control key, and now we are going to use We are going to hold down the control key, then the down arrow to make sure that we have that ungrouped. So as you've seen, we have tried to ungroup those, and now you can see from this section right here, you are seeing that those values are actually not grouped as they were. Even the narration that we had at this point here, it has actually disappeared. So we are back to our settings as we wanted it. So let's first delete this. So that's what we had to talk about, so that we can actually be able to understand that. So what we want to do now is head over to the model tab. We want to be on that model tab, and again we want to hold down the, if now you've been maybe on this cover page, you can just hold down the control key, then page down, and you'll be set to go to that model tab, as we can see. So we would like to zoom in a little bit, and we have some focus here. So let's use the shortcut that we've learned a moment ago, Control Alt plus, just to zoom in a little bit to have those values in focus. Now we are going to be able to actually have this first schedule. Maybe we try to zoom in nicely, and we have this first schedule for unlevered free cash flows. Can try to have it in place. I think now we have that into focus. We can now see that we have the unlevered free cash flow, and it is now reflecting easily. Now let's start out by doing a quick little tour. We are going to be building up these unlevered free cash flows. So we are going to be building this unlevered free cash flow. So we are going to build it from that row 3. Hold down the shift key, we highlight across. So these are the things that we are going to build up to this point, row 28. So that's what we want to build up for now. We want to make sure that we have the unlevered free cash flows for this company up to that point. And then we are going to navigate down to fill. After getting these values in place, we are going to navigate down to these areas here for discounted cash flow schedule. So we shall fill out the discounted cash flow schedule from this point. Maybe we'll highlight also this. Go downwards to where it ends, to this point. There. That's what we shall do after finishing the first one. We also do the discounted. Maybe you try to zoom in. So that's the discounted cash flow schedule from row 36 to row 65, so that we can come up to the bottom and get the enterprise value here. Because now, if after getting the enterprise value here, we get the equity value per share, premium and discounts, premium all the discounts to the company's trading up when compared to the current prices. So those are the things that we shall do from that point. And finally, we shall look at this point here, the sensitivity analysis. Right from row 74, and we'll move downwards until we finish these points here in this section there, 112, up to this point when we finalize here, 107, row 107. So we finish that schedule also there for sensitivity analysis. So that's the final section that we shall be looking at. So we can try to zoom in so that to see some of the things. Control Alt plus, just to have those in focus. So you can see the things that we are going to be looking at. Now, what we are going to do here, what we are going to be looking at here, so what we are going to be actually looking at, we are going to be plotting these values. We are going to have the ability to plot the enterprise value here from cell C86, these values here, we highlight using the shift key. We plot the enterprise value here for all those values, as you can see, up to row 94. We look at those values and we are going to plot them up to, and we are going to vary it for the different terminal growth rates and different values for the work that we have. So we are going to have those values filled all the way down to this point here, so that we can be able to get the equity value. Because we are plotting from the enterprise value, we get the equity value, and from that point, as you can see, we are going to do the same thing below for the equity value. As you are seeing, we are plotting these values. They are also going to be against the terminal growth rate, the terminal growth rates for these periods. As you can see from here, even the work itself from this point. So we are plotting those values against that. And what we are going to have is we are going to use the values that we've gotten from this section for equity value. The values that we've gotten there, they are the same values that we are going to plot and make sure we get the equity value per share. So we are going to look at the sensitivity value, the sensitivity for the equity value per share, and then we move downwards to the current prices. So we are going to start from maybe this, let's highlight these points. We look at all those values. For that, we move all the way down to the current prices, those points. So that's where we are going to, that's the kind of stuff that we are going to be going through. So we are going to look at the values for this, and those values are actually going to be connecting us to this point. And after that, we shall be able to get the values in blue here to be connecting us to this point of equity value per share. Then the equity value per share will actually take us to the last bit of it, and that's going to be the premium or the discount to the current prices. So that's how we are going to be moving. But everything is going to be plotting. We are going to be plotting the terminal growth rates that are on this horizontal line to this work, that is the weighted average cost of capital on this line. That's the y-axis. The same thing here, terminal growth rate, and even here. Even this side is the same, even here and here. All these values are going to be in these sections here. So that's what we are talking about. But we have the middle points here. We shall see what is going to be in those sections. So we need to look at how we are going to be able to have those values filled up. Now, we have done a nice little tour down below through the module. Of course, that's the end of the compact DCF. That's what we have there. It is just a small compact DCF model, but it's going to help us understand so many things. Now, the other thing that let's first delete out this. Now, the other thing that we might want to do is head up to over here in this column here, column A. Can move to the top here. That's our column A. Can highlight it. You can just come here and you hit your mouse for once, or you can just put in the cursor like that and use the control spacebar for highlighting a column. If you are highlighting a row, you use shift spacebar and you see it is highlighted. But for now, we are highlighting a column. So it is control. Sorry for that. So in that section there, that is our column A. And we can see we've set up what we often refer to as a navigational column. You are seeing there is nothing in that place. And now, the thing that I want us to focus on is that in this same place, we've put in what we call the navigational. We've put in what we call the navigational column. Sorry, it is a navigational column, but we've put in the little invisible stops. Like for instance, if we try to move for this section is called sensitivity. If we move to this point here in cell FS74, you will see that we actually put in, if you use the F2 to be in that cell, you'll find that we have a space. We put in a space there. It is an invisible space that we put in place right in that cell S74. So if you put in that space using the backspace, this big button like that, and you hit enter, those are invisible, but at least they make us to navigate through those different sections. These are already installed for you in that model that you received or you downloaded from our Telegram channel. Those, they are already there. So this allows you to stop at these locations where you find headings. So for instance, if we are in cell, let's assume that we are in cell, let's go back to this cell down here. If we are in cell, let's say 101, this one, A 101, and we want to go up to the next heading, we have now to use control, then we hit the up arrow. You'll find yourself that you are going to be stopping at the sensitivity analysis, that is A74. And the reason is because of those stops that we put in there. If you go again and hit control, the up arrow again, you'll find that the next stop is on the discounted cash flow schedule. If you do it again, then you use control up arrow again, you'll find yourself on the unlevered free cash flows. Now, let's try to zoom out to get a little full view of this model. So what we can do, let's try to, we are going to use the Control Alt minus just to decrease our zoom levels. Control Alt minus. What we are trying to reduce. As I said, if you want to see the things changing, you will check from this point here. You will check from this point down here. You will see that those zoom levels are actually reducing. So want to get, just to have a snapshot of what we are doing. Control Alt minus, we take it maybe to 20, like 25%. That's when we can see that we are seeing everything in the model. We are seeing from all these sections, from this to this to this, and we can see that we've seen all the model all the way to the point where it ends. So we've tried to zoom in up to a 25% zoom level, and that's a much lower zoom level, just like the way you're seeing, so that we can see the entire model in one spot. Now we can see really easily that this model is constructed in a vertical fashion, which is the right way to build models. We really stack these schedules on top of each other, and the reason for this is that we can easily just link upwards and downwards in the financial model without moving from one tab to another. So stacking schedules vertically can really help to avoid potential leaking errors in the model. But then what we do in order to help us navigate in the model is we install this navigation column. That's why you're seeing this navigation column in column A. Can use Control spacebar. That column there is what we call the navigation column. And you can see right there in column A, we can just make sure that we hit the control page up and page down buttons. You will be able to move within the, when you hit control down button, you can go to the discounted, you go to that, you go to that until it's done. That's why you are seeing those different stops as we move forward. So that's what we are basically looking at. So now let's try to zoom back into our 100% zoom level. So we use Control Alt, then we are using plus sign to make sure that we zoom back to 100%. So now we can see that we see 100% from this point here. So we are seeing 100% from this point down here. The zoom level is 100%. You can see from there. So now that we have taken a look at what to do inside, now since we've looked at the model, now the next thing that we want to focus on is to make sure that we see what we are going to do from these shaded sections here. These ones from K11 to P11. Those shaded sections, this one is K14 to P14. So we see what we can do from those shaded sections, all the shaded regions within our financial model. We want to make sure that we fill those up. So let's see in the next video as we talk about how we can be able to give you a little guidance on how to fill